Hey NFL fans, before we dive into today's hottest stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update from NFL News Now. Alright guys, buckle up, because the Philadelphia Eagles are right back in the middle of trade deadline chaos. And this time, it's getting really interesting. We're talking about one of the most active front offices in the entire NFL, a team that never sleeps when it comes to improving the roster, or, in this case, balancing it out. According to multiple reports, including one from Martin Frank of the Delaware News Journal, the Eagles would love to make a move involving one of their cornerbacks, Kelee Ringo or Adoree Jackson. That's right, the Birds might be shifting gears from buyers to sellers, and that's got the fan base buzzing. Let's unpack what's really happening here, because the situation in Philly's secondary is starting to look like a game of musical chairs, and someone's about to be left without a seat. Now, first off, this all comes after the Eagles have already been extremely busy in the weeks leading up to the 2025 NFL trade deadline. We're talking about a front office that pulled off 3 separate moves for defensive backs in just the past few months. They snagged Jacorian Bennett back in August, then added Michael Carter II in late October, and just last week, they went out and landed star corner Jaire Alexander from the Green Bay Packers. That's not just a minor tweak, that's a full-on defensive overhaul. And when you look at those additions, it's easy to see why the Eagles now find themselves with what might be an overstuffed cornerback room. 8 corners on the roster? That's a lot of mouths to feed, even for a team that loves rotating its defensive backs. So here's the deal. The Eagles are reportedly open to trading away either Ringo or Jackson, possibly in exchange for a late-round draft pick, something like a 6th or 7th rounder in 2026. On paper, that might not sound like a huge return, but this move isn't really about getting value back. It's about clearing the logjam, managing the depth chart, and maybe even saving a little cap space for the future. The message here is clear. The Eagles' secondary needs clarity, and they're not afraid to make some bold decisions to get it. If you've been following the team closely this season, you know that neither Ringo nor Jackson has exactly locked down their starting spot. They've been rotating in and out opposite rookie standout Quinyon Mitchell, and the results have been, well, mixed at best. Both players are struggling to find consistency. According to Pro Football Focus, Adoree Jackson has one of the lowest player grades among all NFL cornerbacks, 47.1, which ranks 5th worst out of 108 qualifying players. Kelee Ringo, on the other hand, hasn't been a whole lot better, with a 58.2 grade that lands him somewhere in the bottom 40%. And if you've been watching the tape, those numbers pass the eye test. Too many missed tackles, too many blown coverages, too many drives where you can just see opposing quarterbacks picking on that side of the field. It's been frustrating for fans, and you can bet it's been frustrating for the coaching staff too. Now, it's important to remember why the Eagles went so heavy on defensive trades this season. Through the first half of the 2025 campaign, this defense simply wasn't performing up to expectations. Sure, they've got a reputation as one of the league's most talented units, and they've got stars like Jalen Carter and Haason Reddick up front wreaking havoc, but the numbers told a different story. Heading into Week 9, the Eagles ranked 23rd in total yards allowed per game and 19th in points allowed. That's not elite, that's middle of the pack, and middle of the pack doesn't cut it when you're trying to win a Super Bowl. So what does Howie Roseman do when his team hits a rough patch? He doesn't panic, he gets aggressive. He brings in help. And that's exactly what he did by trading for Jaelan Phillips, Michael Carter II, and Jaire Alexander. Each move was a message. This team isn't standing still. But now that the reinforcements have arrived, the picture looks very different. Suddenly, there are more talented corners than available snaps. Alexander, when healthy, is an unquestioned starter. Quinyon Mitchell is a first-round pick who's been one of the few bright spots in the secondary this year. Michael Carter II is a slot specialist who fits perfectly into Sean Desai's nickel packages. And then you've got Cooper DeJean, the hybrid rookie out of Iowa who can line up just about anywhere. With all those names in the mix, where exactly do Ringo and Jackson fit? The honest answer, they might not. Ringo, for his part, was supposed to be a developmental player with long-term upside. Drafted out of Georgia, he had the size, speed, and pedigree that screamed future starter. But his transition to the NFL hasn't been smooth. He's shown flashes, those moments where you see the athleticism and raw talent. But he's also had games where he looks lost in coverage or gives up big plays at the worst possible time. As for Jackson, he's a veteran presence, a guy who's been around the league and seen it all. But at this stage in his career, the physical tools are starting to fade. He's still quick, still savvy, but he's not the shutdown corner he once was with the Titans or Giants. When both players are struggling and your defense is underperforming, something has to give. And here's where Howie Roseman's brilliance as a general manager really shines through. He doesn't just build a team for this season. He builds it for next season and the one after that. Every move is part of a bigger puzzle. Trading away Ringo or Jackson for a late-round pick might seem minor, but those are the kinds of small, calculated moves that keep the Eagles competitive year after year. Remember, this is the same GM who turned late-round picks into starters before, who's built a reputation for fleecing other teams at the trade table. Even if they only get a 6th or 7th rounder back, it's another dart to throw at the draft board. And with the Eagles' track record in player development, that's not nothing. Of course, fans are split on what to do. Some are saying, trade Ringo while you can still get something for him, arguing that his stock might only go down if he keeps sitting on the bench. Others want to hang on to the young corner, saying Jackson should be the one to go since he's on a short-term deal and not part of the team's future core. It's a fair debate, and honestly, you can see both sides. Ringo represents potential, Jackson represents experience. One's a long-term project, the other's a short-term solution. But right now, the Eagles' focus isn't on potential or experience, it's on performance. They're in win-now mode, and if a player isn't helping them win games in 2025, he might not be around for long. Let's not overlook what all this means for the locker room either. Bringing in multiple new players mid-season can shake up the chemistry, and it sends a message that no one's job is safe. When a guy like Jaire Alexander walks in the door, a two-time All-Pro with swagger and leadership, it changes the energy. Younger players like Ringo have to either rise to the challenge or risk fading into the background. That kind of competition can be healthy, but it can also be disruptive if not managed right. The coaching staff has their work cut out for them, keeping everyone focused and motivated amid all this uncertainty. And yet, even with all this drama, the Eagles are still right in the thick of the NFC playoff race. They're hovering around the top of their division, and the defense, despite its struggles, has shown signs of improvement. Jaelan Phillips has brought some juice off the edge, Alexander adds instant credibility to the secondary, and the young corners are getting valuable reps. If the team can tighten things up on the back end, they're still very much a contender. That's why this potential trade isn't about giving up, it's about fine-tuning. It's about making sure every piece fits perfectly before the stretch run. Another interesting wrinkle here is the draft capital situation. The Eagles have already spent some future picks to acquire these new players, a 3rd-rounder for Phillips and a 6th-rounder for Alexander. They did manage to snag a 2027 7th-round pick from Baltimore in the Alexander deal. But overall, they're sitting with 8 selections in the 2026 draft, including 3 projected compensatory picks. That's still a healthy amount of ammunition, but Roseman loves having flexibility. Trading Ringo or Jackson could replenish the stockpile just enough to keep the Eagles maneuverable in future trades. Again, it's all about that long-term chess game. And let's be real, this is classic Eagles behavior under Roseman. Every year around the deadline, they're in the mix. Sometimes they buy big, sometimes they sell small, but they're always active. That's what separates the great front offices from the rest. They're not afraid to make tough calls, to move on from players who aren't fitting the vision, to constantly evolve. It's what's kept Philly relevant for nearly a decade straight. Whether or not this latest rumor turns into an actual trade, it's proof that the Eagles are still operating with that same ruthless efficiency that's made them one of the league's most consistent winners. At the end of the day, this isn't just about Khalil Ringo or Adoree Jackson. It's about the philosophy that defines the Philadelphia Eagles: adaptability, aggression, and accountability. They don't wait for problems to fix themselves. They go out and solve them. They don't cling to players out of loyalty. They make decisions based on production. That's why, love them or hate them, you have to respect how they run things. The front office sees a secondary that's overcrowded and underperforming, and they're not going to let it drag down the rest of the team. If that means making another headline-grabbing move before the deadline hits, you can bet they'll pull the trigger. So as we head into the final days of the trade window, all eyes are on Philly once again. Will Ringo get shipped off for a late pick? Will Jackson be the odd man out? Or will Howie Roseman surprise us all with another unexpected twist, maybe packaging one of them in a bigger deal? Whatever happens, one thing's for sure. The Eagles are far from done making noise. And if history is any guide, the rest of the league better be paying attention, because when the birds start wheeling and dealing, the ripple effects are felt everywhere. For now, the rumors keep swirling, the speculation keeps building, and the Philadelphia Eagles keep doing what they do best, staying one step ahead of everyone else. Keep watching as we analyze more details about some rumors. The Philadelphia Eagles locker room has reportedly been shaken to its core, and the source of the tremor? None other than Jalen Hurts himself. According to multiple insiders, the star quarterback has allegedly exploded in private meetings, reportedly shouting, "If he comes, I'm out." The intensity of this statement is said to have sent shockwaves through the upper echelons of the Eagles' front office, leaving executives scrambling to assess the implications. While the exact identity of the player Hurts is referring to remains officially undisclosed, speculation is already running wild throughout the league, and whispers suggest that the arrival of a high-profile quarterback or potential marquee signing could ignite a showdown within the team. This is the kind of drama that can redefine a season even before the first kickoff, and it has fans, analysts, and insiders buzzing like never before. Imagine the tension, the backstage maneuvers, the delicate negotiations that could be happening behind closed doors, all sparked by a single, fiery statement from the player who has become the face of the franchise. Sources close to the Eagles claim that Hurts' reaction was not an isolated outburst, but rather the culmination of mounting frustrations that have been simmering for months. From locker room dynamics to contract negotiations, Hurts is reportedly feeling the pressure of expectations that go beyond the field. He's been the engine of Philadelphia's offense, leading the team with a combination of poise, athleticism, and leadership that few quarterbacks in the league can match. Yet, despite his successes, there is a growing tension, a sense that his place as the unquestioned starter may no longer be secure. Insiders suggest that the rumored arrival of another quarterback, someone with star power, pedigree, or a higher-profile draft status, has triggered a defensive reaction from Hurts. In essence, the message from the field to the front office is clear: do not undermine my position, do not bring in competition that threatens the stability of what I have built here, or I will walk. The drama unfolding in Philadelphia could rival any Hollywood script, with power struggles, ego clashes, and strategic decisions all colliding in one volatile mix. The timing of this revelation is equally explosive. With the NFL offseason in full swing, teams are constantly assessing talent, exploring trades, and negotiating high-stakes contracts. Philadelphia, coming off a season that had its highs and lows, is believed to be exploring several options to solidify its roster, and the possibility of adding a marquee name to the quarterback position has been a hot topic among insiders. It's easy to see how such discussions could trigger an emotional response from Hurts, a player who has worked tirelessly to prove himself in a league that often judges quarterbacks by pedigree and name recognition rather than performance. The tension, according to sources, is further exacerbated by the media's constant scrutiny. Rumors of trade targets, free agent visits, and draft speculation have created a storm that seems to be only intensifying behind the scenes. And now, with Hurts allegedly issuing an ultimatum, the Eagles' management faces a dilemma that could define their offseason strategy. Do they prioritize appeasing their rising star quarterback, or do they chase an opportunity to bring in a potentially transformative talent, risking disruption in the process? Adding fuel to the fire, insiders suggest that Hurts' statement was more than just an emotional reaction. It was strategic, a calculated move to assert his influence over team decisions. In the high-stakes world of the NFL, players of Hurts' caliber understand that leverage is everything. By positioning himself as a decisive voice in the locker room, he may be sending a clear signal not just to the front office, but to potential competitors. Philadelphia is my team, my system, my moment, and any attempt to threaten that equilibrium will have consequences. Some analysts believe this move could actually strengthen Hurts' negotiating power, ensuring that the Eagles commit to him as the centerpiece of their offensive strategy. Others, however, warn that it could backfire, creating an atmosphere of tension and uncertainty that could affect team chemistry and long-term planning. Either way, the drama is palpable, and insiders say that every move the Eagles make in the coming weeks will be scrutinized for its potential impact on the delicate balance between loyalty, performance, and ambition. The ripple effects of Hurts' alleged declaration are reportedly already being felt across the league. Rival teams are said to be monitoring the situation closely, eager to understand whether Philadelphia might be forced into a high-profile trade or whether Hurts could eventually consider moving on if his conditions aren't met. In some circles, the story is being framed as a power struggle not just within the Eagles, but as a commentary on the evolving dynamics of quarterback authority in the NFL. No longer are quarterbacks merely players. They are brand ambassadors, strategic influencers, and sometimes even quasi-management figures who can sway the trajectory of an entire franchise. Hurts' purported ultimatum fits neatly into this narrative, underscoring the unique challenges that arise when talent meets ego, ambition meets expectation, and the stakes are nothing less than a Super Bowl window. For fans, this is tantalizing, a peek behind the curtain into a world where every statement, every gesture, every whisper could reshape the fate of a storied franchise. Sources familiar with the Eagles' internal discussions suggest that management is taking Hurts' words very seriously. Behind closed doors, executives are reportedly weighing multiple scenarios, from doubling down on their commitment to Hurts to exploring potential trade or free agent maneuvers that could satisfy both the team's ambitions and the quarterback's demands. There's speculation that agents are involved, quietly negotiating terms, clarifying intentions, and ensuring that Hurts' position is respected. At the same time, scouting departments are said to be keeping a close eye on quarterback markets, monitoring rumors, and preparing contingencies. The level of strategic chess being played behind the scenes is staggering, and sources claim that meetings have become increasingly tense, with every decision scrutinized through the lens of how it might influence Hurts' willingness to stay or leave. For insiders, the drama is both exhilarating and nerve-wracking, offering a rare glimpse into the high-stakes power dynamics of a team that is simultaneously chasing excellence on the field and navigating the personal ambitions of its most valuable asset. Fans have not remained silent either. Social media has erupted with speculation, debate, and outright fervor. Every post, every tweet, every viral clip is being dissected for hidden meanings or potential confirmations of Hurts' stance. Some supporters are rallying behind the quarterback, praising his passion, loyalty, and willingness to stake a claim for his position. Others are questioning whether his ultimatum could create unnecessary tension or even destabilize a team that has shown promise in recent seasons. Sports analysts have weighed in, framing the situation as a critical juncture for the Eagles' front office. Is Hurts' stance a sign of leadership and ownership, or is it a warning of potential upheaval? Every angle is being explored, and the narrative continues to evolve as new whispers emerge from within the organization. The excitement, tension, and intrigue have turned Philadelphia into a focal point for the NFL rumor mill, with every move scrutinized, every word dissected, and every development amplified by a hungry fanbase eager for answers. Even beyond the immediate Philadelphia bubble, league insiders suggest that Hurts' alleged declaration could have broader implications for quarterback market dynamics. The NFL is a league where star talent is increasingly mobile, and where the balance between team control and player leverage is constantly shifting. If Hurts were to follow through on his warning, it could set off a chain reaction, influencing how teams approach free agency, trades, and contract negotiations for elite quarterbacks. Sources speculate that rival franchises are already considering the message this sends about player power, the limits of team authority, and the delicate art of managing superstar egos. For the Eagles, the situation is more than just an internal matter. It is a litmus test for organizational strategy, crisis management, and the ability to balance loyalty with ambition in an era where both are at a premium. Every phone call, every meeting, and every decision carries weight, and the story of Hurts' alleged ultimatum may end up defining not just a season, but a broader narrative about leadership, negotiation, and the evolving landscape of professional football. While much of this story remains in the realm of rumor and insider chatter, one thing is clear: Philadelphia is at a crossroads. Hurts' impassioned statement, if accurately reported, reflects a tension that goes beyond the field, highlighting the complex interplay of performance, expectation, and personal ambition. It underscores the reality that in today's NFL, stars are not just measured by stats or wins, but by the influence they wield over organizational decisions and team direction. As the Eagles navigate this period of uncertainty, sources suggest that the decisions made in the coming weeks will have ripple effects for years to come, shaping the trajectory of the franchise, the careers of its key players, and the perception of the team in a league where every move is scrutinized. Fans, insiders, and rival executives alike are watching closely, waiting for the next development, the next statement, the next twist in a story that is already being described as one of the most dramatic off-field sagas in recent NFL history. The rumor, the tension, and the stakes have all converged in a way that few could have predicted, and it seems clear that Philadelphia, Hurts, and the entire Eagles organization are in the midst of a story that is far from over, and whose resolution may very well redefine the landscape of the team and its quarterback position for seasons to come. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your fellow NFL fans. Stay tuned for more updates, only here on NFL News Now.